حي على الفلاح.
Allah chose them for you, Muslim or not Muslim, practicing or not practicing, good or bad. Allah chose them for you. They are a test and they're a blessing. Two ways, because if they're good and kind, mashallah, it is very important to have a circle around you of people who care for you in a way that is unlimited. What that means is, something happens to you, immediately there must be a circle of people around you. Mostly Allah creates this within family members. Mostly. There are some exceptions and I'll perhaps get to that. But mostly when you have a circle of people around you who care for you, how are you? Is everything okay? I'm coming, I'll be there just now. Or we're together in this, I'm going to help you, I'm going to do this and do that. That's a big blessing. But in order to have that circle around you, you need to be very tolerant and you need to be very forgiving and you need to be broad-minded in a certain way, because Allah did not create those people with your mind and your emotions. Even your father and your mother, those who are your parents and gave birth to you, they don't think the same and they don't have the same emotions and they're not replicas of you. They probably would be similar in some ways but very different in many other things. So in order to enjoy family, you need to be forgiving, you need to be accommodating, you need to be tolerant, and you need to sacrifice a little bit. If you're not prepared to sacrifice, how do you expect to enjoy the favors of a family unit? And when we say sacrifice, it's within a limit. Now, I was saying there are some exceptions. What are the exceptions? You have some people who are outright crazy. I had an email I received today. I read it and it's not the only one that has come on that subject, where they say, my father's abandoned us. He went off and he left and he doesn't want to know us, and now that I've grown older, I tried to go out to meet him and he's just kicked us away. He doesn't want to know who we are and he has nothing to do and it's bothering me and affecting me. What should I say to that child? I wish I had a moment to speak to the father of that child. It's your responsibility, your duty, no matter what, to reach out to your children, no matter what, and to speak to them, to communicate with them, to empower them. Children tend to grow up very quickly. And in those tender years, while they're growing up, they need words of love from their parents. They need words of reassurance. They need words of goodness and kindness. They need support. They need positivity. They need someone to talk to them and guide them. Moments ago, I was speaking to the teens and tweens. And what we did say is, don't feel bad when someone tells you, because someone needs to tell you. Another message that I received was when one of them said, I want to marry very far from our family because I want to marry into a community or into a culture that no one tells me anything and I don't want to be told a thing and I wouldn't like anyone to interfere in my life in any way. And I said, my child, you need to be told things. Don't ever, as a believer, think that you should lead a life where no one's allowed to tell you anything, because then you would lose your way. You would lose your way. Your parents are there to tell you. Your mother is there to nag at you. It's normal, it's natural. They want goodness. They want you to grow up in a beautiful way. They're going to tell you, don't do this and don't do that, and don't dress this way and don't dress that way. I remember a woman who, some years ago, who said, when I was growing up and as I got married and so on, I used to dress quite provocatively. She's telling you herself. And she says, I didn't like to be told. But still I was a little bit afraid of my parents. So when my parents were around, I used to try, to perhaps dress a little bit more modestly and so on. But now that I have my own child, doing things that are way beyond what my imagination would have allowed me to do when I was growing up, I really can't tolerate this. I'm thinking to myself, look how the world is changing. Look how it's changing. You don't want to be told it's fine. A day will come when you'll have children and you'll want to tell them, but they won't want you to tell them. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to be doing things that you consider totally absurd. I'll give you one quick example. Okay? A lot of you might recall your grandparents. We're not going beyond grandparents. A lot of you might recall your grandparents. Can you imagine your grandmother in a tights and a top walking down the street? Can you imagine? But can you imagine your daughter do that? Yeah, you can. Maybe a little kid. I'm not talking of adults, okay? But look how the world has changed. معروف زماننا منكر زمان قد مضى. What we consider normal today was considered totally taboo by people of the past. And what is considered taboo today will be considered normal by the people of tomorrow. So what I'm trying to say is, don't feel bad when someone just tells you, look, I think you shouldn't do this. That's your mother. That's your father. They have a right to let you know. That's your spouse. I mean, your husband has to tell you, and your wife has to tell you if you're a husband. Either way, listen, don't do this. It's not good. I don't like it, for example. Who are you? I'm your mother. I'm your father. Well, I don't want to be told. Well, let me give you a story. Then you can tell them this story. Today you don't want to be told. Tomorrow, what's going to happen? Are you prepared for your children to tell you the same thing? The answer is no. If you think about what's gone on, subhanallah. In the same way that it's easy to spread bad on earth through social media. When I say bad, I mean vulgar words, maybe abusive things, maybe, pornographic words. When I say pornographic words, sometimes it's not an image, but it's just, the words are so filthy, man. People say, but why is Islam so hard? It's not. It's actually Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and all major religions that will tell you, do you know what? This type of word or these type of words are wrong. You should avoid them. You should abstain from them. So, like I said, if you hear the words before you repost or before you mimic and before you actually act in it, listen to it. If it's bad, cut it. Wallahi, you will achieve success. To stop something that you were tempted to do for the pleasure of Allah is a great act of worship. Very big act of worship. Allah will be pleased with you because of the barakah, the blessings of your abstention will be felt in your life in other ways. It will be felt. When you do good, the good comes back to you. When you do bad, the bad comes back to you. That's how Allah's created us. So if I stopped myself from doing bad, it's going to come back to me in a nice way, inshallah. And then what do? Increase the good. So I want you guys to go back to your social media profiles. Whenever you have a chance, tonight, tomorrow, whenever it may be, whatever app you have, whatever social media you're on, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever else it might be, take a look at your use of it. How do you use it? What do you do? What are your posts? Fair enough, right? Your posts. When you look at your post, tell yourself, what category does this fall into? If there is only bad, all I'm telling you to do, and I don't want to be too hard on anyone because we're living in the real world. When you're hard on people, they run away. All you've got to do is, when you notice there's a lot of bad happening, meaning there's a lot of posts that are not going to help me on the day of judgment. For example, we are believers. Start doing good ones. Small reminder, one small reminder, a short 5-second clip, a reminder of something that you think is pleasing to Allah. Is it difficult? Is it difficult? If it's a prayer, if it's some encouragement to do something, to give a little charity, encouragement to attend a talk such as this one, encouragement maybe to improve 1 millimeter in your dress code, male and female, encouragement perhaps to read a word of the Quran. Do you know what? That could be your ticket to Jannah. People will watch it, they will see it, they'll be affected by it. It goes in your record, and mashallah, at least on the day of judgment, when you're just about to be given all your stuff to watch, you're going to be thinking, hey, I've got those 2-3 posts that I put. Yeah, let's look for them. I'm sure Allah will be so happy to see those. Do you agree with what I'm trying to say? There it goes. So do those few. And when you start that and you see the result of it, you will notice, I wasted my time with 5-10 posts, and I've got 1-2 good ones. 5-10 wasted time, 1-2 good ones. 5-10 wasted time, 3-4 good ones. And so on until you improve yourself in a big way. What I'm talking about is not even the ideal. I'm talking about reality, realistic. The ideal would be, don't use it at all for bad. Use it only for good. The ideal would be, use it only to encourage people to get closer to Allah in one way or another. But none of us live in the ideal world. This whole world is not ideal. Realistically speaking, we do have a problem. And that's why we're here talking about it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthen us. Thank you so much for listening to this short message. I pray that it has increased you in a little bit of motivation and hope. And the same applies to all of us. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.